Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you the 2015 NFC North Preview. Now, the success of Green Bay this season may very well be predicated on the status of wide receiver Randall Cobb and how many games he's going to miss. The team was fifth in total offense last season, and they were first in scoring offense at 30.4 points per game, 13th in scoring defense, 21.8 points per game allowed. They have 4 consecutive division titles. I don't think they're quite ready to renounce their supremacy of the NFC North just yet. However, will losing Traymon Williams be a major blow to their defensive performance? Now, the team went on a rampage at the end of last season. They won 7 of their final 8 games, and in 3 of the 4 losses, though, Aaron Rodgers threw for under 200 yards. So, really, this team is strongly. The success of this team is not just obviously going to be predicated on the status of wide receiver Randall Cobb, but even more so on the status of Aaron Rodgers. And just if he throws for 300 or more yards, forget it. It's almost an automatic W. So, but I like Green Bay to win their 5th consecutive division title this season. Now, second place, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. Now, they lost Ndamukong Suh, and this will significantly impact their defense. They were the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL last season. Wide receiver Calvin Johnson and quarterback Matthew Stafford will return this season. Now, what's interesting about this team is that they had, even with a plethora of offensive weapons, they still average only about 20 points per game, and I think a lot of this was attributed to the Detroit offensive line allowing 45 sacks last season. And you know what happens, people, if you get sacked, and especially like if you're near the opponent's scoring range and you get knocked back, then it knocks you out of scoring range. And a lot of times it could prevent a team from scoring, let's say scoring a touchdown, and they might have to settle for a field goal. And in other instances or scenarios, you could be in a position where you're closing in on field goal range and you get knocked back on the third down play, and it sets up 4th down, and you're not even in the territory to kick a field goal where a field goal will be feasible. So I think that's where some of their problems lie. Free safety Glover Quinn led the NFL with 7 interceptions last season, and he will return. And the team actually had 20 interceptions. So if they could at least be good in the secondary, and if the defense isn't diminished much by the loss of Ndamukong Suh, they have a chance to contend with Green Bay for the division title. Now, third place, I'm going to go with Minnesota Vikings. Now, the return of mercurial running back Adrian Peterson should very well augment an offense that was ranked 27th in the league last season, and they were 20th in scoring offense at 20.3 points per game. Now, oddly enough, Minnesota was ranked 14th in rushing offense, and they ran for nearly 113 yards per game. But with Adrian Peterson back, this should be much more than that, and this could really help their fortunes this season, and maybe to contend at least for a playoff position. Now, the progression of quarterback Teddy Bridgewater will be critical in the Vikings' fortunes this season. They added Mike Wallace to the team, he should maybe help this team as far as I believe their offense would go. And they acquired cornerback Terrence Newman, and he may very well ameliorate a defense that was maybe mediocre or adequate last season. So anyway, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings for third place in the NFC North. And last but not least, I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears, and don't be flabbergasted or in a state of shock, people, for last place in the NFC North. And the team has not been the same since they lost their polarizing defensive player, Brian Urlacher. Now, they gave up, they averaged 19.9 points per game last season, but they gave up nearly 28. one of the worst in the NFL. They also lost wide receiver Brandon Marshall, and he was a very good player on offense for this team. Now they are making transition to a 3-4 defense, and they're hoping that this will augment or improve things on the defensive side. Now, Cutler has been accused of perhaps being apathetic, and it seems like some people, I think, believe that some days he just doesn't really come to play, but that's just, I mean, that could just be speculation. Now, he threw 18 interceptions last season, and he also, there were also 12 fumbles from him. I believe 6 were recovered, so essentially I believe that's 24 turnovers. So they have to really lower the turnovers a little bit, and that might enhance their prospects this season. And if Jay Cutler can be more consistent and less sporadic and erratic, they have a chance to at least be respectable this season. But I think they're going to be cellar dwellers this season in 4th place. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for the 2015 NFC North. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be giving you my picks and analysis for the 2015 NFC South Division. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.